Welcome, welcome. And I'm super excited to be talking with you all about optimizing your sleep for fat loss today. So I'm so pumped. This is such an amazing topic. Personally, I love sleep. I am somebody who could probably sleep 10 hours a night, and that would be my best, maybe 9 to 10 hours of sleep a night. But unfortunately, that is not realistic with most lifestyles. So we go for a nice solid 7.5 to 8 here in North Carolina where I am. But we're going to learn about why sleep is so critical, not only for your health, your longevity, just everything with your body and your mind, but also for your fat loss journey. And we're going to talk about how you can fine-tune details in your life that are going to allow you to accelerate your fat loss journey and lose the most inches and pounds of body fat from these tweaks. So that's what you're going to be able to take away today and hopefully get an even better night of sleep tonight as you take these lessons away. So I want to actually start with a study that was conducted in 2018 by Wang and colleagues. And this is one of my favorite studies in the research to cite of all time, because a lot of times we know that sleep is important, but we don't like action on it very much because we're just told that sleep is important, but we don't really see the beneficial effects for things that truly, truly matter to us, right? Just energy, like most of us can survive on 50% energy and be like, it's fine, it's fine. But as soon as it's tied to fat loss, it starts to be that much more important. So this study compared two groups of individuals that were overweight or obese that wanted to lose weight. And they compared basically their sleep length as well as their caloric restriction and their weight loss results. So group one, let's call them, was sleep restricted by about an hour plus or minus 30 minutes a night. So this was not that much sleep restriction, but it was considered the sleep restriction group. So keep that in mind. It's actually only maybe 30 minutes to an hour and a half of sleep restriction per night. So if we're saying that 7 to 9 hours is great, then this could be, as low as maybe 5.5 hours per night, but maybe even still 7 hours. So this is huge. They were calorically restricted, equivalent to the other group. Group B, or group 2, we'll call them, was not sleep restricted. They just slept 7 to 9 hours per night, and they were measuring a lot of different variables. But essentially what happened was, after the study, both groups lost the same amount of weight on the scale. And so you might think, oh, that's not really all that impactful. Here's the kicker. Group 1, that was sleep restricted by an hour plus or minus 30, lost a significant amount more lean body mass, so muscle tissue, and things that actually contribute to our metabolic rate. And group 2, that was not sleep restricted, lost a significant percentage more body fat. So what does this mean? It means that when you are sleep restricted, you are giving up lean muscle tissue, which is reducing your overall metabolic rate, making you weaker, making it easier for you to regain weight in the future, because metabolic rate, a big driver of that is how much muscle mass we have, and that's why we need to strength train in order to boost our metabolism and maintain weight loss long term. Which leads into a second study that I actually want to pull up, which is basically citing the fact, this was actually published in May of 2023, so really, really interesting that it was recent. The title of the article itself is Insufficient Sleep Predicts Poor Weight Loss Maintenance After 1 year. So you can imagine, because of study A, Wang and colleagues, where they compared the effects of weight loss with or without appropriate sleep, then if those sleep habits are carried on and they don't improve and the people do not sleep an appropriate amount per night, they're just going to lose more muscle mass and they're going to have much, much, much more trouble keeping the weight off for good. So just an hour less per day, which means that, on one hand, you could be like, oh my God, I'm so worried. That's a horrible statistic. On the other hand, you could say it's just an hour. That's something you could, or 30 minutes even, something you could squeeze into your day. So let's talk about exactly why this happens. Why does more body fat get lost when we are sleeping appropriately versus not? And so I like to describe it as sleep is critically important, both directly for our physiology and also indirectly through our psychology. So direct benefits of sleep are being able to just repair our muscle tissue from lifting, being able to drop body fat and create a safe environment for that in our body because we're recovering. Our digestion is improved because we're actually just processing through all the nutrients that we have eaten throughout the day, and our energy is restored. And then indirect, how does sleep impact things outside of just our fat loss results that can actually impact our fat loss results? And I like to think of this in the kind of brain sphere. So mental cognition is drastically improved when you are sleeping appropriately. When you are using your brain to its fullest, or as full as we can, you are making better decisions, you are more clear-headed, there's less brain fog, right? There's less mental health issues when we're sleeping appropriately. So that can impact a lot of our decision-making and our ability to stay adherent and consistent to the plan. Our mental consolidation of memories and habits also happens when we're sleeping. So my background was in neuroscience, if you didn't know this, but essentially, think of it like this. When we go to sleep, our synapses, the neurons that talk to each other and how they connect, get strengthened when we are sleeping. And when we're going through deep restorative sleep, our brain is essentially taking all the information that we learn throughout the day, all the things we're trying to practice, and it consolidates them into more permanent connections. And so with our brain, the more we practice a habit, it's essentially based on the use it or lose it principle. So if we're practicing habits like working out, eating healthy, making those choices, those connections are going to actually get solidified while we sleep. Even if they're practiced and connected throughout the day, they're going to be solidified better if we sleep better. So this can really impact us, consciously with our decision making, but also subconsciously. So pretty cool stuff. And it's really going to impact our ability to see results long term. So now let's get into how do we even know if your sleep is good or bad, right? So we can't improve it if we don't know where you fall on the spectrum. So a couple of questions that I like to ask, I have them listed here. A, do I wake up feeling well rested? B, do I need naps throughout the day? Do I have energy crashes? C, am I reliant on caffeine throughout the day? D, do I wake up throughout the night or have trouble falling asleep? Those are some great questions to start with. If you're still unsure and you just don't know, because a lot of times if we've been living on poor sleep for a very long time, it kind of becomes our new baseline and we don't even know how good we could feel. You can take a free online test, quote unquote, called the PSQI, which is the Pittsburgh Sleep Quality Index. It's just a bunch of questions you can answer and it gives you a score for what your sleep really adds up as. So let's say your sleep, you either know it's not that great or you score low on the PSQI. How do we improve it? So these are some tips to optimize our sleep. So number one, I do want to say that if you are overweight or obese or peri or postmenopausal, you have a much higher likelihood of having sleep apnea, which in which case a CPAP machine could be life-changing for you and your sleep quality. So if you are struggling with your weight, there is absolutely no shame in getting checked out for that because it can drastically improve your results that you see long-term and your ability to get off of that machine in the future. So that's number one, just want to cover that. Medical, you can definitely go talk to your doctor about that if that is a concern, or you wake up a bunch during the middle of the night, or your partner says that you snore a lot. So that could be one, but sleep hygiene is something that everyone can control, everyone can start with immediately. So I'm going to just rattle these off and list off things that you can do to improve your sleep. Number one of my favorites, the biggest ones, is room temperature. You're going to want the room temperature to be about 66 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. You can go colder. I'm not a fan of going colder because then it makes it hard for me to get out of bed in the morning, but 66 to 70, any hotter than 70 oftentimes can make it just really easy for you to get hot, overheated at night because your body is actually trying to cool itself down as you're getting ready to go to sleep. And so the cooler it is, the easier it is for you to fall into that state. You've probably heard this one, limit screen time before bed. It is so important. Use night mode on your phone or, use blue light blockers, do all of the above as much as you can. Eliminate screen time as much as you can. It does really, really help. Having white noise when you sleep is also really helpful. So either a fan running, or our room is backed up against the HVAC unit of our house. So we have that, but a fan or a white noise maker is great. You can use blackout curtains if you sleep at odd hours or you just want it to be darker in your room. Having consistent wake up and nighttime routine. So I will say that your entire circadian rhythm, so the rhythm of which you wake up and go to sleep, strongly influenced not only by the bedtime stuff, but by the morning stuff, right? So do you wake up consistently at the same time every day, or is it always scattered and jumbled? It's gonna be harder to have a consistent bedtime and sleep window if you are kind of always waking up at different times. So trying to keep the times consistent as well as the routines. So trying not to have caffeine too soon after you wake up, trying to hydrate, allow your body to kind of wake itself up at first, and then bringing caffeine into the picture can be super helpful. And then having a wind down routine that might include changing into pajamas, washing your face, doing any skincare, reading, listening to calming music, anything that kind of brings you down from a stressful day and unplugs you from the rest of the world. Another one would be weighted blankets. These are great if you feel like you just struggle to get comfortable. Wearing comfy clothes to bed is key, just nothing tight, nothing restrictive, right? And then having some sort of a hot shower or bath before bed is great because, again, your body is trying to cool itself down. So if you get in a hot shower, what that does is your body's like, ooh, hot, need to cool myself down internally, and your internal body temperature will go down more and will allow you to get to bed easier. As well as just cutting off caffeine probably by like 2 or 3 in the afternoon at the latest. This is a tough one. It took me a while to get to this point where I was doing this the right way, but I can promise you it does make a difference. Even though you don't feel the effects of caffeine long after it has been ingested, a lot of us, there's 2 specific genes that regulate this. One of them is a slow digester of caffeine gene. And so if you have that, caffeine's gonna affect you 5, 6, 8 hours after you've had it, even if you don't feel it. And then we have some people that are a fast digester of caffeine. You might be able to get away with this, but unless you wanna go get a DNA test, I would just play it safe, cut caffeine off early in the afternoon so that you're not affected by it going to bed. I also really love sleepy time teas, just natural remedies to get to sleep. And then there are certain supplements that can help with this as well. Now, ashwagandha, I used to be very liberal in recommending this to people, and I still like it a lot. Ashwagandha root extract is a adaptogen, which allows it basically helps your cortisol come down at the end of the day. When you take it before bed, it helps your cortisol come down a little bit faster at the end of the day, and it allows you to get to sleep, stay asleep, and have better quality sleep throughout the night. I personally love it, and I do take 600 milligrams of it before bed every night. That's the clinical effective dose. But if you are somebody who has been in a chronically stressed state for a long time, and maybe you always kind of feel crashed and burned, I would advise against taking it because you might be in a situation where your cortisol hormone is just low as a whole and you don't want to over-exacerbate that. A great alternative that our clients love and a lot of our coaches recommend and take themselves is magnesium. Taking a magnesium supplement before bed, magnesium glycinate, is a great supplement to help with improving sleep, getting to sleep, staying asleep, and the quality of it as well. I would recommend the clinical effective dose, I believe, is 400 milligrams per serving. So making sure you're checking your labels, you have the right form and the right amount. A lot of supplement companies will fill their supplements with a bunch of BS, for lack of a better term, and not actually having the actual ingredients inside. So make sure that you check for that. But those are a bunch of different things that you can do to change up your sleep hygiene routine and get better sleep. So I know I just listed out a lot, but what I would say is if anything stuck out to you is like, oh, I definitely don't do that, start with that one thing right away. Implement it tonight and then practice that one thing for a week or 2 weeks. Notice how you feel before dumping in a bunch of other changes, because otherwise you're not going to know what worked for you and what didn't because you changed it all at once, right? So go for that cause and effect relationship. Go one thing at a time so that it's actually sustainable and so that your sleep improves in a way that is measurable and repeatable for you as well. In the comments here, I will drop the studies that I referenced below. And then if you'd like a guide that you can basically reference all the stuff that I just said, just drop the word sleepy below and I will go ahead and send that out to you.